Hi. Now in this video we'll be having a more in-depth look at modes 0, 1, and 2 of the HG-30 multifunction synthesizer. So right now the HG-30 is in mode 0, as we can see from the mode select rotary switch. It's in the 12 o'clock position. And as we already went through in the introduction video, in mode 0, each of these 30 little faders here in the front panel, each of them represent a harmonic frequency of the note that is being played. 1 being the fundamental, 2 being the octave, and 3 being the perfect fifth after that, and so forth. And we can see them all show up on the spectrum analyzer right there. Each of these peaks representing one of these faders. Now, let's put these quieter ones off fully. We have these 5 left, and there they are. Now that's quite a bell sounding configuration right now. And of course, as we already went through in the introduction video, each of these 30 faders and therefore harmonics can be controlled with external envelope generators hooked up to these 8 envelope inputs. And they can be really easily used with the internal virtual switchboard. You just flick the switch into the envelope select position and you choose which fader you want to control, and then you simply toggle it up and down and you can see the little LED show up. Now, which one was I controlling again? I forget. I think it was maybe this one. Yeah, 15. You can see it show up in the envelope input that is being selected. Right now it's 8, and down, now it's cycled back to 1. And to save the configuration that you want, you just flick the switch back into the middle position. And there we go. Right now they're all in the number 1 input. But you can do the same thing for the modulation inputs. And mode 0 happens to have 2 types of modulations. You have the noise and PM, therefore meaning phase modulation. Noise and phase modulation. And you can control those modulations with these 2 modulation inputs here. Right now hooked up to an external envelope generator. And the amount you can control with the adjust 1 and adjust 2 knobs. Adjust in mode 0 controls the noise, and you can see it show up on the spectrum nicely. Now if we crank it up to full volume, it's pretty much nothing but noise. And back to 0. You can see that handy LED light up when it's in the minimum or maximum position, so you don't have to keep guessing on where you are. Right now it's at 0, and so is this. So if we just keep the 15th and 1st faders up, we can demonstrate the phase modulation. Right now there is none, but if we bring it up, as you can see it go from one end to another, that's because it's being controlled by an external envelope generator. If we just put it a little louder, that's the maximum. There. And that's mode 0. Now next, let's move on to mode 1. There. Now we've set the HG-30 to mode 1. Now mode 1 has the added functionality of allowing the user to adjust the noise and phase modulation of each individual harmonic. In this mode, faders 1 to 15 control the individual harmonics like they do in mode 0, like we just went through, and faders 16 to 30 control those individual harmonics modulation amplitudes. So right now we have the first harmonic and the 10th up and their individual modulation amplitudes at full, so now the mode would behave as it does in mode 0. If we give it some noise modulation from the adjust 1 knob, now they're both modulated, but now if we, for example, set down the modulation amplitude fader of the first harmonic, now we can see that only the 10th harmonic is modulated with noise. We can give it more or less. There. And of course we can do the same for phase modulation. Now let's set the 25th fader down, therefore taking away the modulation of the 10th fader. And let's add some phase modulation from the adjust 2 knob. Now we can see that only the first harmonic is modulated with phase modulation. And of course we can control how that modulation behaves with the internal virtual switchboard and the 8 envelope inputs here. Now we've set it up so that this fader, the 16th, and therefore the modulation amplitude fader of the first harmonic, is set to the 4th envelope input here. And that means we can control the modulation amplitude of the first harmonic with this envelope input, like so. Now, right now, the external envelope generator is set to a very fast attack and a medium decay, and it sounds like this. But if we, for example, slow down the attack, we can see the modulation behavior change. And still the 10th harmonic is unaffected. So there are a lot of possibilities with this one. And that's mode 1. Now let's move on to mode 2. There. Now we've chosen mode 2. Now mode 2 in the HG-30 is unique because it's actually one of the few modes that utilizes subtractive synthesis. Now in mode 2, the whole signal is made out of noise using digital filters. But as you can hear, we can make melodic sequences because the noise band's maxima corresponds to the frequency of the note that is being played. And they show up all on the spectrum right there. And as in the other modes, you can control the harmonic amplitudes with the sliders on the front panel and with the external envelopes connected to the 8 envelope inputs. You can also modulate the overall noisiness with the adjust controls, like so. You can get some really cool sounds with this mode, and I implore you to check out our SoundCloud page for samples from all of the modes. Thank you.